Our guest today is Keri Apking Wilson, best-selling author, owner of Pick Dogs, and advocate for Mitch Wilson's 2027 Sports Gambling Hall of Fame nomination. Keri, be very welcome to our show.
Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate being here today. It's fun to be here to get to introduce my book.
Keri, before we talk about the book, many people know Miami Mitch, but they don't know you. You spent over 20 years as an educator and school counselor before becoming part of one of the biggest names in sports betting. How did your life take such an unexpected turn?
Well, no one was more surprised of the turn than me. I spent all these years as an educator. I loved working with students. I was a high school teacher for 10 of those years. And the last part of my career, I transitioned to become a high school counselor. And so when Mitch and I got married, the first 2 years of marriage, we had moved to Chicago, and Mitch was on his way to a company softball game. And we just started our new life together in Chicago. And no one showed up for that soccer game. And on our way home, and Mitch was just a man of his word. And when you didn't show up to something, he took that very personal and as a sign that maybe I need to make a switch here. If I'm not with these committed people, maybe I need to make some different decisions. And keep in mind, Miami Mitch, sports was always a huge piece of our lives and Mitch's life. And so on that way home, he's like, Keri, I'm going to start something new. I want to do something with sports. He was always talking about sports, analyzing sports. And so he Googled when we got home, how do I start a website with no tech background, no ideas how to run a website or to do any of this. He was just going to find something new.
Was it hard to support him in the beginning?
It wasn't. We had gone through a long journey before we actually became married. And Mitch had worked on sobriety during that time. And so it was exciting to find something that Mitch was passionate about. And so what happened was he Googled this, and then he immediately started hitting the ground running and taking classes. And he signed up for a course on blogging because that was the big thing at that time was how do you blog? How do you start a website? YouTube hadn't been introduced just yet. And he just began learning. And he was just so passionate. Both of us kept our full-time jobs, and it just became a hobby. And so for at least the first 2 years, he didn't even make money. He was just putting all of this together and working night and day, putting the games out and a free pick and a free analysis on every game. So I loved watching him shine and doing something that he was great in and loving it.
Wonderful. So you believe it from the start in one format or the other?
I think so, yes. He never believed in having plans. We never had a long-term goal, and that was kind of how Mitch was. He thought you kind of lost the beauty of things if you were too much of a planner. We were a little opposite in that way, but we just let it happen, and we were both really surprised. So I couldn't help not support it because we just kept seeing the success, and I just kept seeing him doing something he loved and that he was so passionate about. So watching that alone, and there was never a moment in our marriage together where he didn't say, thank you for letting me live the life that I wanted and my dreams come true. So for me, that was just really, at the end of the day, you can't ask for anything more than that.
Oh, this is amazing and very inspiring. And in terms of support, it's not always easy, right? You had your career and everything else. So I imagine you guys had a wonderful marriage, and that was really a good structure for both of you. So a curiosity, because for those who did not read your book yet, it just came out, and I highly recommend you guys check it out. We're going to have a page here for Keri talking about her life, Mitch's life, and all this work they did together and how you can get the book and learn more about it. It's for people interested in betting and those who are not. We're going to talk more about it along the interview, so I recommend you stay to the end. So Keri, I'd like to ask you, in terms of the structure for those who are tuning in right now, can you explain generically what happened, how Mitch became so important, how it started from this blog that he started? What is this betting community? diversity, because along the interview, we're going to talk a lot about the community. So people know that we're not talking general community or the community where you guys lived on. It's the batting community that he founded and was like the king of. So would you explain to our audience what the business involved?
You know, being in this space in the sports betting industry for 16 years, there were a lot of technological changes that happened along the way. And what started off as a blog and Mitch just writing a free pick and a free analysis and telling people how he would bet the game and offering this all for free, people were really excited about it. And what happened was, the community from all over the world reached out and said, Mitch, if you're not going to cover, it started off as college football. If you're not going to do hockey or if you're not going to do college basketball, can I write that for you? So people for the first 2 years did this for free, which is remarkable. They just wanted like-minded people coming together to talk about it and be as excited and passionate about the game as he was. And along the way, as technology changed and video became introduced, the community just became bigger and bigger. He ran 3 websites. He first one that he started was Sports Chat Place, and that was a free pick and a free article on every game. Eventually, it became a premium subscription where people paid for their best bets. And through the ups and downs in this road and with a difficult business situation, he ended up leaving and he started his best and biggest one in Pick Dogs. And this is when YouTube came around. And then he became the largest YouTube betting community, and we still are. When Mitch passed away on Thanksgiving Day, we had over 222,000 subscribers. And today it's reached 280,000. So it's just like-minded people coming together to discuss their wins and losses and how to bet and be educated and be together.
This is incredible and very educational for those who are not in the business. And this conversation will go through much more, as we said, than sports betting. It's about life. It's about believing in life and making plans. So stay to the end. You were married to Mitch for 25 years. Who was he away from the broadcast and the betting community? Just at home with you?
So Mitch at home was just fun. He had a zest for life that he just brought into everything that we did together. So personally, him and I loved to cook. He was a fantastic cook, and we would spend all of our time gathering great groceries, no matter what our economic situation was. We just made great meals every night. Food was always very celebrated. Whatever I wanted to do, Mitch was always very present, but make sure that sports was always involved. So whatever the technology of the time was, when we first started dating, he had a handheld TV that all the games were on. He always knew every score, every game, and always willing to talk about it, but also could say, when we're at a museum or doing something that I wanted, he would be present right there too. So I appreciated the support that he gave me. And at home, he was just, the sports were always on TV. We had 5 TVs on our wall all the time. And whatever I wanted to watch was in the middle. And he could tell you what was happening on in every particular game. There wasn't really a moment where sports was not a part of our lives. Whenever we went on vacation, it was always, do they have good Wi-Fi? You know, especially the times now before Starlink happened, and the first time we had gone to Hawaii, we went to Kauai, and we're Christmas Eve, and of course these videos always took priority, and we're driving around the island. Of course he's hanging out the window with his laptop trying to figure out the best signal, and we would stop, and that's where we had to wait for 25 minutes for his video to upload. So the vacations could be a little hazardous, but he loved what he was doing, and everything kind of always revolved around that. And I was okay because it was just fun. It was just quite a journey.
You were such a trooper. A lot of women would not have signed up for that. But I see you're also a very fun person, and you liked sports too, apparently, because you were in that and you said the relationship was so worth it. He was funny and you had fun together, and you felt that he also fulfilled your needs. So when he needed to do something that was his job and never ended, he had to be tuned 24/7, basically. You were a good companion in the adventure, right?
Make no mistake, sports were not my favorite. I would be excited because he was excited, but I did not watch every single solitary game. There might be one or two that I would tune into. I was always kind of doing my own thing too. I certainly had my career as an educator, and I also was a yoga teacher. So I had my own thing and he had his, and we just really built a life together that we both really enjoyed and supported each other, which I think was important.
Oh, that's great. So in no moment you felt that the community and his job were kind of competing for your time or your attention?
Oh, that's a really good question. You know, he reminded me often, Keri, this is how we get to live how we live. So make no mistakes. I shared Mitch with this community, and Thanksgiving Day, and every holiday, Mitch was online, and he was in a show during all the halftime shows every Sunday. I'm taking out, if it's Thanksgiving Day, I'm taking out my turkey, and it's in between. He's like, Keri, I got to do this halftime show. I got to tell him how to bet. I got to tell him what I think of these games. So they were always a competition, but again, he was so happy about what he was doing, always answering customer service. He was one of them. I always kind of say he was a handicapper for the people. No one was more excited about the game or wanting to put his community on winners than he was. I received a comment recently, and I still monitor our social media pages, and they said, so touching, they said, I miss Mitch every day. He would be so excited about a pick. I would naturally go with it, even if I didn't believe it. But his passion and excitement put me on that bet, and that just made me smile. So I appreciate that he's still remembered, and the community still remembers him.
Yeah, and he must have been a great expert as well, because money, people would not just go for his excitement. He also had the expertise, which is great. And talking about the community, when Mitch passed away on Thanksgiving 2024, the response from the sports betting community, you said, was overwhelming. What did this outpouring of love and support mean to you during one of the darkest times of your life?
Oh, I got chills on that one. It was such a hard day. So unexpected, and I was just shattered, absolutely shattered. And so along the way, knowing it was Thanksgiving Day that Mitch passed away in 2024, and the community was expecting him. It was in the morning. They were waiting for him to show up live on the morning show, and Mitch showed up 365 days every day. He was with this community, and he never missed. And so they knew something was going on. And so, and then when he didn't show up for the half times and our channel went dark, they started to reach out to me. And it took me a moment to gather everything. And I, one of our handicappers went on to let the community know. There were over 30,000 comments of people who have never met this man before, saying he was the curmudgeon-y uncle that, that was always in their background, and they're crying, and they never even met this man, but they saw him every day. We were on vacation in Kauai the year before he passed away, and we were exploring a botanical gardens, and this woman came up. She's like, "Are you Mitch? My husband's gonna be so mad. You're on my TV every day. I can't believe I'm getting to see you." And she sent me a book on grief. And so random people were so kind. And when I had an opportunity to sit down, I couldn't do it at the beginning. It just gave my grief a place to go, and they were grieving with me. And it was really important that I showed up 2 days later. I had never been on camera before. It was important that I show up to. Everybody always wants to know what happened and what can they do, and they needed to grieve with me. We were all grieving together, and so I didn't get to respond to the comments, but I thought by showing up, I wanted to let them know how much I appreciated. Kindness matters, and when people give that outpouring of love back, I felt every minute of that, and I was grateful. It was really a moment that shaped my grief in a positive way and helped it.
Yes, yes. It's a terrible situation, especially thing like this, like he passed so suddenly. So for you, I can only imagine, and other people that went through the same situation, you have a lot to tell in your book, as you do, about starting over. This is something very, very difficult. But I imagine for these fans and these people who really felt like they knew him.
I only wish Mitch knew. He was just so busy working and so busy going on to the next game or doing the next show or hiring the next person that he never really took a moment to really understand the full magnitude. And when he passed away, I had access to all of these emails. And this man spoke to his community members all the time. He was in the YouTube comments. He really made them feel like they were a part of everything. And so many people said, thanks for calling me and thanks for, straightening me out. If they had a question, he was customer service. So he was just a real part, an everyday part of their lives. And I don't think I knew it because I was on the sidelines kind of supporting him. So I was also very surprised and just deeply touched. I don't really think I fully understood the impact that he had.
Yeah. And you said he was moving so fast, but you think he knew how loved he was, how admired he was?
I hope so. I think he was just the ups and downs. And that's what I talk a lot about in the book. There are so many, and it's true for anybody's life. So I don't want to separate that out, but the ups and downs in this journey were so intense, and he was always rebuilding. And, it's for anybody who's lost so much and has started to rebuild again and again, and an entrepreneur's journey and what you do when things don't work out. How do you start all over again? And I also think that's probably part of gambling too. It's like he took a lot of risk. You take risk as entrepreneurs, and the risk that he took to develop this community, because, for me, the most remarkable part is he was a one-man show. He did the tech work. He was the personality. He eventually hired people to help him, but for a long time, he was human resources. He was customer service. He was everything. And so even though he wasn't on camera, he was always working, always doing everything. So there's not a moment to just say, hey, let's really enjoy this. And I think he wrote that himself. In July, when it was his 16th anniversary, he did a social media post that said, I wished I would have taken more time to enjoy it, but I am proud of everything that we created. And I'm seeing these young kids come up who are doing things that are bigger and better than I am. And it was almost like he knew that this was going to happen. It was almost like a visionary statement. And he even said, I wish I would have taken more time to enjoy it.
Interesting what you said. It brings to a question that we're discussing before here, seeing your story and in production about people who take risks to start new businesses. So young people nowadays with technology, and they always creating a new app or a new form of technology or their own business. And that sounds a bit more natural, but maybe people from our generation were a little bit more conservative. Do you think Mitch's personality helped him as a risk taker, as you said, in betting? Do you think that helped him create a business that was a little bit out of the box and be so successful?
This is a great question, and let me tell you why. As you said, in my generation, I'm 58 years old, and so when we were graduating from college, the opportunities were not the same as they are today for someone to create their own opportunities. Mitch, I always said there wasn't a door that this man didn't sneak in behind. For example, when we moved to Chicago, the company only hired graduates from Harvard or from the University of Chicago. He went to BU, which is a great school, but he knew some little niche that got him in that back door and got him in that company. He wanted to be a sports broadcaster, and there were 3 networks at the time when we had graduated from college, or when he had graduated. And, if you didn't know anybody, you weren't getting into that door. And so he created his own media company. He did his own thing. So if it wasn't there, he was barreling down the doors. And I so admire, he never saw that as roadblocks. He was like, how can I get in here? What can I do? And so I see a lot of young kids, it doesn't have to be all the way, the script isn't always there. He didn't want a script. He wanted to figure it out. And that's where the magic happened and where the surprises always happen. And of course, there were lots of falls. That's part of the journey. And there were many of them. But getting back up again, I think, was his strongest suit, and refusing to back down and showing up consistently every day. And I think he inspired a lot of people with his work ethic and just sheer gusto of content and effort that he put out.
You have a mission that extends beyond simply honoring Mitch's memory. Tell us about your effort to preserve his place in sports betting history and your hope of seeing him inducted into the Sports Gambling Hall of Fame.
This is really what I'm hoping to do to preserve Mitch's legacy. I believe my goal is to get Mitch inducted into the 2027 class of the Gambling Hall of Fame that they do at the Circa Hotel. I believe that he deserves that spot for his work as a pioneer in the space of creating the free pick and free analysis and changing how it was viewed. He's considered in the industry as the OG. Everybody followed what Mitch did. He said, everybody's always copying me. Technology has changed, AI has changed even since he has passed, but he is the one that established that model. And so I feel very strongly that I would like him to get credit for that. It would just mean a lot to me. So what I'm asking my viewers to do, and especially our community and anybody who's interested in that, is to purchase the book on Amazon, and I am asking them to write a verified review and tell them how Mitch had impacted them through their betting journey or through just their life journey and what that meant to them. And I'm hoping to use that as evidence to the committee and bring that. And I'm also, believe it or not, traveling on Monday. I am going out to Bet Bash. It's happening for the 2026 class. I mean, no disrespect to the 2026 class, but I am hoping to find that betting committee and bring them a brand new copy of the book and ask them to consider him for next year. So I'm being a little gangster myself here. I'm trying to get through that door. So we'll see what happens with it. I've reached out to them. I asked to meet with them, and they said that they would pass that along. But I have already have my plane ticket to Las Vegas, and I'm going. So we'll see what happens.
Congratulations. We'll be rooting for you and giving you all the support we can, buying the book and giving you a review. Those who did not have the experience already feel inspired by the perseverance, because even if you are not someone who's betting, but we admire people who are entrepreneurs, who try different things and try to start from scratch, but in something completely new. That's your passion. And as you said, in his youth, there were 3 doors, and he created another one. And then he supported all this community that really loved him so much. And we're not talking 10 people. I believe they really admired his work, and that should be an easy call, right?
I really hope so. I'm getting ready to roll it out to them. You know, it's kind of exciting that the book launch and the timing of all this, I don't know if it's divine, but I have this amazing editor, Candy Cross, who really just helped me get this all together in the timing of all this. I haven't even announced it to my community yet, but I believe they will be behind this charge and will be excited. We have some time. You know, the induction doesn't happen until, I believe they make the decisions in the springtime. So we have some time to roll this out and for me to introduce this concept to them. But I'm very confident that this community of warriors who all come together will stand behind me on this. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to share it with them, actually.
Ooh, awesome. Many people may assume this book is only for sports bettors. Who is this book really for? And what do you hope someone with no interest in sports betting takes away from reading it?
That being passionate and knowing who you are and being authentic can make a tremendous difference. One man with one passion and one dream changed an entire industry and found ways through doors. And even though he was told and they were closed multiple times, that I would hope that you just keep walking through those doors and you keep trying to find your dream and your own passion, because he did and he got to live it. So I hope that inspires someone to keep moving forward, even when life kicks them down.
And now, one very important question, Keri. You were a woman that you had a career and then you merged your life with your husband's to create this incredible business. And for 20 something years doing this and being his super support, but as you said, being the sidelines, he was the man, the face of the business, and you were his support. So how do you feel now? I think this sometimes when this happens, people have to choose: am I going to reinvent this business? Am I going to take it over financially, become the face of it, hire somebody else, or move on? So who is Keri now? What comes next for you?
I don't think that you experience this tremendous of a grief and get to come out of it on the other side the same exact person. So I'm a work in progress. But here's what I do know. I do know that I am now a published author. Never saw that coming, and I couldn't be more proud of putting this work out for the world to share it with them. I'm the owner of Pick Dogs, and I'm still trying to figure it out every day. Mitch and I, we had a dream together, and we believed that when life gave you something, you had an opportunity to give it back. You know, after overcoming so many hurdles, we just really believed in that energy exchange of, wow, that really is great. What else can we do to give back, give someone else a winning day? And we applied that same principle to a foundation that we always wanted to do. And when Mitch passed away, I bought the domain names, and it's called Betting on Their Future. And it kind of combines both of our worlds. You know, I come from an educational situation where I was always talking to students about their future, and Mitch from a betting background. So we believed, and the mission is really simple. We believe that when someone wins at sports gambling, they have an opportunity to make someone else have a winning day. And so it's kind of cool. You know, Mitch historically always supported charities and organizations and got behind them and helped fundraise them through Pick Dogs. And in the last 2 years, one of our team members, Eric Pathy, rode in honor of Mitch through Pick Dogs with a charity called Bike the Beach. And it's a 100-mile bike ride in support of autism. And I'm happy to say this year, Eric, through Pick Dogs, was their top fundraiser. So I'm really proud that something good is coming out of this, and that we are using Mitch's legacy and Mitch's name, and a company and a community that supports good. And so that I would be very excited about. So for the last 19 months, I've been grieving, and I have been writing this book and just trying to figure everything out. But I would be very proud and honored to put some effort into energy into this next as we see as I become who I need to become. As I shared next week, I am leaving for Las Vegas to go hopefully meet the betting committee and share that book with them and see how I can launch this campaign. And then I am planning a trip to Maui, where Mitch and I had lived. Unfortunately, this year, I also lost our Labrador Retriever, Sam, who the community all knew and loved. Just a tough year, but I'm going to bring him back where I buried Mitch. And so it's a very symbolic thing for me to do, just a Keri private moment. But I also, in my head, as I have been writing this book, I have been following different traditions and endings and rituals to allow my grieving to be complete. And so this is so symbolic for me, finishing this book during this time, that I have an opportunity to use this Lakota Indian tradition, and I will take a rock for each chapter that I wrote. And as I release Sam back out to where I put Mitch, I will get to release the memories and hopefully as an opportunity and symbolism to move forward with the grief and not be buried by it any longer. So I feel like it's going to be really meaningful for me. I'm actually pretty excited to go back and do all the fun things that Mitch and I did while we lived there, and do some hiking and some surfing, and just as a little bit of a celebration. And then when I come back, I hope to hit the ground running. It's going to be football season, and I'm excited to see all the new talents that we have at Pick, and new personalities and talents and ideas we have going on at Pick Dogs. And I'm excited to move forward with the company. So I think we have some great things.
Keri, I train people who do public speaking and workshops, etc. And I see you're very inspiring. And when you're talking about your things, you really come with the passion and you have a lot to tell. And your experience is very, very unique. If you had to give one piece of advice to someone who went through your experiences, be it supporting a partner start a new business, or having a sudden loss, or reinventing themselves after all of that, what would you say?
That you cannot abandon yourself in that process, and I didn't. And Mitch supported my career along the way, and I felt like it was just a true partnership. And there were definitely moments where we had to take a step back and needed professional help to come back together again. But overall, the priority was for us to live a meaningful life, and we joined together into that goal. And you have to keep taking steps forward. That's the most important thing. And I found that in my grief too. You cannot get stuck. I received professional support to walk through this, and she told me, she's like, Keri, you're allowed to have a pity party, but you just can't stay there. So you have to allow yourself to process grief or hard things, but you have to keep making the decision to walk through and keep making the decision to walk forward. So I felt like anytime life knocked us down, we were both on that same page and, okay, what's next? What are our options? And so you can't abandon yourself. To come together, you have to know who you are, and you have to keep taking steps forward together. I think that's what I would say.
Keri Wilson, what an inspiring, beautiful interview. Thank you so much for your presence in our show today.
I thank you for having me, and I appreciate the viewers taking a look at the book. Thank you very much.